Welcome to Lawbreakers, a gravity-defying objective-based shooter. Okay, so this isn't going to be a real in-depth look at the characters or anything like that, but for some of the issues that I want to talk about with some of the characters, I will talk about the characters themselves and explain a little bit about them, I guess. Lawbreakers consists of 4 different game types that all revolve around an objective. In uplink, you fight for control over the uplink to download valuable data to your team's base. If the enemy team succeeds at doing this before you, they win. Blitzball, you work as a team to gain possession of a ball that constantly talks and doesn't know when to shut up. Once you have acquired the ball, you and your teammates will attempt to reach the enemy's base and score a point. First team to 8 points wins. Turf War is kinda like domination. You fight as a team to lock down 3 different zones throughout the map. The game will go into an intermission round where the objectives will be locked and no one can capture them. Once they're unlocked, teams will fight over each point to gain possession of it. Once you gain possession of it, the objective then becomes locked until the next intermission, and whoever has the most out of the 3 points wins, or gets multiple points towards their score. So to put that into a context, if you'd captured 2 points and the enemy has 1, come the intermission they will get 1 point and you'll score 2. Overcharge relies on possession of a battery that you'll bring to your base and attempt to keep possession of, as over a time period it charges to 100%. Once it gets to 100%, it has a very small time frame before it scores you a point. However, if the enemy team steals it at any point, the percentage does not go down. So if they grab it at 100% and take it to their base, they'll get the point. How do I feel about the maps? Well, so far, there's been a few minor bugs, but nothing really bad. The maps feel absolutely excellently balanced. And while we're at it, I guess we might as well talk about health here as well, because health does not recharge in this game at all. You can get a battle medic, which is another character we're not going to go into, but he can heal you quite effectively. But what do you do if you've got no health at all and there's no battle medic anywhere in sight? Well, luckily they have these little health packs that regenerate scattered around the map. Usually there's one located at your side of the base, the enemy side of the base, and one somewhere around the middle. But what about if you need health and someone steals all of these health packs? Well, then luckily they thought about putting in a health station, what will regenerate your health over time. However, unfortunately it will leave you vulnerable to attack for a few seconds, as you must stay within the health station to regain health. These 2 are located, one at each base and one usually around the center somewhere. How the game plays pretty good. This is definitely one of the best betas I've ever played, the most enjoyable and less buggy. There's been a few UI bugs and a few join and server bugs, but other than that it's been pretty good. With an extremely smooth movement system and a very nice physics to the game, going into a combat situation in the low gravity zones can be quite satisfying to get a kill. Overall, the game's physics in general feel really good. I've experienced little to no bugs with any of the movement or any of the physics in general, which is really quite surprising for a beta. So to me this game feels and looks like a mashup of a Call of Duty game with Overwatch. But can it hope to rival either of those 2 titles? I do believe with a little bit of balancing and tweaking this game, I do believe that it could rival those 2. However, while they are very similar in many ways, they're also very different in many ways. And for this reason, I don't believe that people are going to completely stop playing Overwatch or Call of Duty to play this for any time soon. So the game does have a customizability to the characters and weapons, range from skins down to stickers that you can apply to the very guns themselves, and of course skins that you can get for your character. Now the teams consist of one team called Law and the other team called Breakers. Law are like the justice-y sort of people, so they're the good guys. And then there's the Breakers, they're like the villains, I guess you could say. They're the bad guys. All the characters look very nice. The models for them are pretty damn good. They're really smooth, clean looking. They all seem to move very nicely, although there's one thing I have noticed with the movement, and I'm kind of glad and I hope they notice this in the beta stage, is if you're looking at another player while they're moving, their animation seems to be in like a slower frame rate. It's more clunky and it looks like awkward the way they move. It just seems slower than what the frame rate of the game itself is. It's not a major problem and it definitely doesn't make the game unplayable, but it just looks a little disgusting every so often when you see it. But as I said, it's definitely going to not stop me playing the game. There are like loot drop style things to the game, but it's nothing overdone. It feels pretty fair. They don't seem to be rip-offs like most games, and assuming that they don't pack the game with microtransactions, it doesn't seem to be something that's going to actually affect the game in any way, shape or form. But only time will tell whether they'll be a thing you can purchase or not. At this point I'm not aware that you can or if you can't, and I'm not entirely sure whether the things you open in the beta stage will be removed from your inventory later on when the game's actually released. I would assume so. It'd be really cool if they didn't, because I've got some really nice stuff out of it. but I could see it totally being fair if they did do that. A couple of problems I want to really talk about with the game, I guess. It's not so much problems, I just feel while it's in the beta stage, it needs to be talked about. It's balancing of certain things, I guess you could say. Like, one fear that I have for the game is the character I play. It probably sounds a little biased because my favourite character is the assassin. I just like the mobility of it, I guess. She's a fast-moving, hard-hitting character who has a grapple hook and a lunge style thing. She's a very mobile character that hits really, really hard. And as I said, she's super, super fast and mobile. And in my opinion, she's a really good pick for Blitzball in the sense of she can pick up the ball and basically get it to where it needs to be in a matter of seconds with the right timing of a swing of that grapple hook and a couple of well-timed lunges. Now that grapple hook doubles as a weapon as well because you can actually cling to enemy players and hit them with a significant amount of damage, making it a very useful tool. But one of my biggest fears for this particular character is later on in the game, she's basically going to become the meta for the game, and I feel at some stage a lot of people are going to pick her a lot, and it's going to be sort of like we're going to talk Overwatch here, it's going to be like the Genji situation for Overwatch, I guess you could say. But here's me hoping that it doesn't end up like that, because I do believe she is a really, really good pick for the game, and it'd be unfortunate to see her get outcast like Genji is. One particular character that comes to mind, actually two, we'll talk about one, and we'll talk about the first one being the Juggernaut. He can place up a shield. It's impenetrable and you can't walk through it. Probably some technical word for it at the moment, but I'm just not thinking of that right now. But my biggest problem with this character is the fact that he can block off doors with his shield, kind of like the Mei situation. Like, I can see people trolling with him, and because you can select more than one on a team like you originally could in Overwatch, I've already been in a couple games where people have been really trolly with it. Like, you play Blitzball and they'll deliberately block the ball in, or if you go to score on them, they'll block themselves out and one will want to wait for the other one's shield to go down and recharge it, and then he'll block it, and like, you can call it strategy, but it just feels really, really cheesy and a cheap way to win the game. And personally, I really don't think that it should be there. I do have a sort of a solution in mind. We'll get to that in a bit because there's another character I kind of want to talk about as well. Ah yes, and here we are. The Tracer and McCree love child. Yep, that's right. In case you'd ever wondered if Tracer and McCree had a kid, this is what it would look like. Here we have the Gunslinger. And why do I say this particular character is the love child of McCree and Tracer? Well, one, because one of his abilities is he's able to blink much like Tracer, and two, because his weapon is much like McCree's on the right hand side. He has a revolver style weapon that doubles almost like a sniper with very little drop off, packs an absolute insane amount of damage. To make matters worse, he stole one of Tracer's guns on his left hand side. Yep, that's right, he has two guns, one's rapid fire, and one packs a lot of damage. Now my problem with this character is not the damage that he puts out or the power, but how often he can use it. Like, if I had to pick a super OP character out of all of the characters, it'd definitely be this guy. And similar to the way what I was saying about the Juggernaut, I think the fix for the two is one of the same, and I don't think his power needs to be nerfed or his drop off. That's fine. It's nice to have someone that can double as a sniper and have that good potential pick power, but I don't think that he should be able to. I think the charge up time for it's like 0.3, 0.4 seconds. Like, it's nothing huge. Like, I think that should be at least raised to 0.6, like put a bit longer of a charge on his power shots. Now the fix that I do impose for the Juggernaut situation, however, is I'm not sure if they're going to do this or anything like this in any way, shape or form, but unfortunately I do think it needs to be a thing. It might be interesting to see how it plays out, being that there's like not a great amount of characters in the game really, and I have no idea whether they're going to put any more in or not, but I think that they should make it so there can only be one of each character on each team, so you can't have a whole team of Juggernauts just spamming shields upon shields upon shields. So yeah, it's kind of a harsh thing that needs to be done, but in my opinion it really does need to be done. I think this game has huge potential. Like, I could see this getting really, really big in a competitive aspect because it takes a good amount of skill. It's extremely frustrating, but it is also extremely enjoyable and extremely satisfying when you do land those kills. Like, there's definitely a few things overall that need tweaking. Nothing major though. Like, honestly, for a beta it is extremely well done. The UI looks brilliant with minimal freezes for a beta. It's nothing overdone, and some of the aspects of it kind of remind me of Serious Sam, and I'm not entirely sure why. I think it's something to do with a lot of smiley faces. But the little things that they've added to the game are what really makes it. Like if you successfully melee an opponent to death, usually by kicking them, if you're the assassin especially, you can actually get a sticker that comes up on their screen with like a footprint, and you can customize that, which I thought was really cool. It's like a little bit of a last minute screw you, and I like that. Like little things like that just make the game that little bit more enjoyable. All the characters in the game are OP in their own little way, and it's not their power that I have such a huge problem with, but just the way they use it needs to be a little more balanced. Like, early game now is the best time to see it happen because that gives them the best chance to fix it, so I'm kind of glad that everyone is using it the way they are, and hopefully it'll get noticed. It doesn't need an overhaul or anything crazy like that, just a few little tweaks here and there. But overall, in a nutshell, to not take the video and make it any longer than what it needed to be, and I'd love to go over a lot more in depth about Lawbreakers, but unfortunately the video would be far too long to do it all in one section and get everything covered accurately. So in a nutshell, at the end of it, I'm just going to chuck here, with the maps, they feel brilliantly balanced, health stations and healing is in a really good spot, the objectives themselves throughout the entire game are placed perfectly with no unfair advantages to either side, which is absolutely great. I hate games where they unbalance it slightly to each side for each map. The weapons, they all feel pretty good, and they all have their own uses without a doubt. They all hit very hard, and I like that because I do believe that you should be able to kill your opponent really quickly, but as I previously stated, they do need to be rebalanced. Nothing major, just here and there. The ultis in the game, they're all pretty cool and they all have their uses, much like the characters themselves, and it'll be interesting to see as the game progresses how people will use those ultis to then benefit the game. And competitive wise, as I said, I do believe this game has massive potential to be competitive. It's fast paced, it's satisfying, it's frustrating, it's all the things we love in games that make us want to become better at them and do well in the games. That's what keeps us playing, is when a game is frustrating yet satisfying at the same time, because it makes you come back and makes you want to get better at the game, makes you want to play through it more, and it'd be interesting to see what kind of a ranking system they put into the game, and if they do a competitive side to it, I honestly can't wait to see that. And with the overall rivalry to Overwatch, I don't think, as I said, I don't think that it's going to stop people playing Overwatch or anything crazy like that, because they do have similarities, but they are two different games without a shadow of a doubt. But as far as fan base goes, I do believe that if they go the right way with it, they don't cram it full of microtransactions, they do events that benefit the community and things like that, I do believe this game can rival games like Call of Duty and Overwatch. The gameplay is really nice, it has good physics, the UI looks good and it works. The characters are all really nice to use, they all look really good. All the weapons handle really well, and the abilities really fit the characters that they're on and can be used in their own unique ways to make plays, and that's why I can't wait to see competitive plays if they do decide to take a competitive aspect of the game. But anyhow, that's all we have time for. We'll wrap the video up here. So overall in total, do I think the game's going to be worth the money they're asking for it? Absolutely. This game has a huge potential in both competitive and casual aspects. I can see it appealing to both the competitive and the casual market. Competitive players will want to play it to grind up through the ranks and get better at it. As I said, it is a really satisfying game, and for the casual market I can see it appealing to them because it's the sort of game you can just pick up, get used to the character and do well at. If you have the spare money and you haven't downloaded the beta yet and you're not entirely sure what to think about it when it launches, then definitely, in my opinion, you should give it a try. It is a really nice game. It is extremely enjoyable and it only doubles in enjoyment when you play it with friends. And to my amazement, the servers were really good, especially for a beta, so I can only imagine in time they're only going to improve, which is what you really like to see. You like to see the games progress, and this game has a huge progression ahead of it and a really bright future. But we'll leave the video there for now. It's been Instinct, and I will see you in the next video. Later, guys.
Yeah, me. Oh.